Good morning, Facebook friends. Brian Moses here. We're going to do a short little mini seminar on getting unstuck. I got a few people in the house that are stuck. We got Sophie, who's stuck here on the couch. Sophie. And Tank, he's stuck. Peyton's at school. Hayden has no school today, so he's stuck in bed. Where are you stuck in life? I want you guys to think about what you're stuck in. And somebody sent me an email. A good friend of mine at my country club sent me an email. He goes, "You're stuck? What are you stuck in? You live the life that I dream about." And I go, well, life is about growing, right? Stretching yourself, pushing yourself, and becoming more of your potential, tapping into it. So I'll share some strategies with you today. Last week, and we'll get started now. Last week we were talking about mindset, attitude, psychology. We talked a little bit about how people go through life unaware. And I've really paid close attention to what's going through my mind. Over the years, I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars on personal development, read more than 1,000 books on business growth, personal growth in my life. And I'll tell you, my wife would tell you that I still have a long way to go. So I'm always working on myself. But in today's conversation about getting unstuck, I want to distill down the biggest distinctions that I've learned and used in my life that have had the greatest impact, not just in my business, not just in real estate sales. I've had great success with that. Not in business, but in life. You know, and the best way to do that is to define what you truly want in life. And what that entails is, who do you want to spend time with? What is it that you want to do? How do you want your business to look like? What do you want your finances to look like? What do you want your relationships to look like? What are your personal goals for you? Recently, I started flying, taking private pilot's lessons. It's been a goal of mine to get my pilot's lessons for 30 years. When I first started, I ran out of money, didn't have the money. And then when the money was coming in from my business, I didn't have the time. And now I'm getting back at it. So to get unstuck, there's one secret. You need to make a decision. First, you need to be aware of what you're stuck. And how you do that is you look at what's unacceptable in your life. So if you're listening or watching this later on, I want you to think about what is unacceptable in your life. That directly correlates to your standards. And when you raise your standards, you raise your quality of life. So, for example, years ago, when I was getting into real estate, you know, I got behind in my finances. People would call me and say, "Hey, Bri, you're past due on your rent." My landlord would call me and I'd go, "Yeah, when I get the money, I'll send it to you." That was acceptable to me. And if that's your standard, it'll continue to show up. How you get unstuck is you make a decision. No more. Never again. Enough. And you can make those decisions in every area of your life, not just your business, but your finances. I coach and consult with people every day from all over the U.S., Canada, and even sometimes around the world. And, you know, we talk about what's going on in their life, and what has to happen is you have to get fed up. You have to get satiated. And it's really hard when you're doing well to get satiated. And as we get older, it becomes harder to push to the next level because we don't want to lose what we have, right? So, you know, when you're a kid and you ask your mom or dad for an ice cream and they go, "No, we're going to have dinner soon, no ice cream." When you're a kid, you believe that anything's possible. You don't take no for an answer. You just keep persisting, keep nagging, keep going at it, trying different strategies. And we all know what happens. 10 minutes later, that kid's licking on an ice cream cone in the corner with chocolate all over his face, right? Or her face. So where have you stopped in life? You know, do you want more time off? Do you want to make more money? Do you want to work till the day that you die? Or do you want to have enough finances in the bank so that you can comfortably retire? So to get unstuck, you need to make a decision. And I want you all to understand the power of a decision. You know, Rosa Parks, I'm not sitting in the back of the bus. Martin Luther King, I have a dream, right? Decisions. Decisions don't just change your life, they can change history. So recently I've made some decisions to grow and accelerate my life and the quality of my life. I've made some real good decisions on health. I'm still recovering from my foot surgery, but we'll get there. And I'm excited to get back at it. I've made some decisions. Enough is enough, right? In my business has been doing really well. I'm really comfortable, but I've made some decisions. And when you make decisions, when you realize that you're capable of more and you're on this planet for a reason, it'll fuel you to go to another level. It's really about action versus inaction, and it's not just about business. You can have great quality of life. Hey, James. So think about, where is it that you want to grow? What is it that you want to do? What are your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations? Stop worrying about, will it work? Inaction will not get you unstuck. Too often we think about, how are we going to get there, right? So I have some goals with health. I have some goals with my business. To be frank with you, I don't have all the answers. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I've decided that I'm going to get there. And I'm going to take massive action. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to adjust. I'm not going to worry about the failures. I'm going to use that as feedback to try a different strategy. I'm really, really excited about it. I want to make an impact in the lives of the people that I come in contact with. So in my real estate business, coaching and consulting business, we've just made a couple of hires this week. We were massively productive. We're reaching out to people that we haven't talked to in a long, long time. Over the years, I've spoken to thousands and thousands of people, from the early days when I was with one trainer to another trainer to another trainer. And people are coming out of the woodwork, and it's really great to re-engage with these people. So here's the secret. To get unstuck, don't worry about how, just do. Define what you want, make a decision, and just start taking some action towards that. There's two worlds that we live in. Somebody once taught me this. My good friend John told me that he had gone to a seminar, and the speaker was talking about the two worlds that we live in. And that in and of itself is a decision. Which world do you live in? Do you live in the reported world? You know, the world that says, hey, you don't have an education, your parents came from nothing, so you therefore have to have nothing? Or do you live in the created world? You know, how many of you take pause to reflect on the beautiful country that we live in? You know, 2/3 of the world doesn't even have running water. And immigrants are 4 times more likely to become millionaires in our country than our own citizens. And that's because they make a decision. They have no idea how they're going to do it. But they make a decision, they decide, and they go after it. So that's really the message that I wanted to share with you today. And I'll tell you a quick, funny little story in closing. And then I'll wish you all an amazing weekend. My first experience really with making a decision was, I was driving to New York City with a buddy of mine, and I wanted to get on the David Letterman show. And my buddy said, you can't do that. So I'm like, I hate that word, can't. And I decided I was going to get on the Letterman show. And you guys can all go to YouTube, Google Brian Moses on David Letterman, and you'll get to see the rest of the story. But I was rewarded for making that decision. And then in 1995, I met a great guy. His name is Bob Proctor. And I was kind of struggling financially, working real hard in my business. And I was talking with Mr. Proctor, and I was telling him about my dreams of building a estate-type home, you know, hip-roof colonial, 4 bedrooms on acreage. And I had this really great dream. And I was telling Bob about this lot that was for sale in Merrimack, New Hampshire. And he said, well, Brian, go buy it. And I said, Bob, you don't understand. I can't buy it. He said, what did you say? I said, I can't buy it. I don't have the credit. I don't have the money. I don't have the down payment. And Bob said, you don't need any of that. And I said, well, how am I going to buy it? He goes, you need to decide to buy it. So long story short, Bob manipulated me, coerced me. And Bob, if you're watching, I'm forever grateful. I went and purchased that lot, got the seller to say yes, had no clue how I was going to buy it. We figured it out because decisions come first. It wasn't easy, but I bought it, and we lived there for about 16 years until we sold it and moved over here to Hollis. And then 3 years later, that was at 29 years old. And then 3 years later, at 32, my lease was coming up on expiration at the office park that we rented space in. And I was like, it pains me to pay rent every month. Why don't I go buy a small little building, like a home, and convert it to a commercial office space, a real estate space. And I was looking and looking and looking, and my budget was about $150,000 for a sales price at the time. And I would write letters to people, and I couldn't find anything. And every day I drove by this massive building in downtown Nashua, and I just remember thinking, wow, it would be so great to put my office there. And then I remembered what Bob Proctor said. Decisions come first. That price of that building was $750,000. It was like 7 times over my paradigm of what I felt I could afford or what I could do. So I just, with total faith and no idea how I was going to get financing for that, I made an offer. It got accepted. I almost crapped my pants because now I had to make it happen. And I get denied for financing conventionally with 12 different lenders. It was painful. The owners called me up and said, Brian, is this deal ever going to happen? I told them what was going on. They loved my commitment to the deal, and we got it done. So I was reflecting, since that time, I've been kind of complacent, kind of playing, to live the life that I currently have. But that's not where growth happens. Growth happens by leaning into your fears. And what keeps us stuck is the fear. What if it doesn't work? Well, I'll challenge you. What if it does work? So that's my Getting Unstuck session for you today. And I really, really appreciate you all tuning in. Have an amazing, unbelievable weekend and make some decisions. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.